Tool use and function calling are the core mechanism that turns LLM from a text generator into a system that can both retrieve data and perform real actions. This video explains what they are, why they're required in production, and the main categories. Let's talk a bit about definitions. Tool use means the LLM can call external functions instead of answering only from its parameters. Function calling is the implementation of tool use. The model outputs structured JSON that specifies the exact function and parameters that need to be called. In a moment, we'll see examples of this. Without tools, the LLM can only know what was in its training data and the context that you've given it. With tools, the LLM is able to retrieve up-to-date information like weather, stock prices, and user data. It can perform write actions like creating, updating, or deleting records in databases. It can send emails, it can trigger payments, create tickets, it can schedule meetings, and a bunch of other stuff. Combining reading and writing in multi-step flows is a really great way that you can enhance the power of this, and you can create really powerful agents. As a result of using tools in your flow, you can drop the rate of hallucinations, your data can stay fresh, and the AI can become an active part of your product instead of just being a chat layer. Let's go over to Latitude and let's see how this works on a real prompt.
So we have a new prompt here open, and this prompt is called tool calling. Okay. Now, in the tool calling prompt, it's set up a lot like our prompt was last time. However, there's a few differences. The main difference is that we're running here with an agent type. What this agent means is that it's an LLM architecture that's going to run in loops of calls. So we're going to make a call to the LLM, but then it's going to make internal calls with the output of the first call. And then we're going to be able to do more complex things, such as calling tools, like we're going to do today. For tool calling to happen, it is necessary that we do have an agent type. So here in Latitude, we included in the front matter as a parameter. Alrighty, so once we have that set up, we need to make a tool. Now I recommend that this is the process you use when you're starting to work with prompts. I like to set up my tools first, and then I like to write my prompts. I don't like to write my prompt and then add tools. I like to give my LLM as many tools as it's going to need to carry out the task, and then I define the task to it. So I have everything in mind that it can do at the moment that I'm defining the parameters of the actual prompt. Okay, so what we're going to do here now is we're going to create a client tool. Now, in this situation, a client tool is going to appear in this front matter as well. The way we do that here is we're going to type tools, and here we're going to include a pre-written tool. So I'm going to paste the tool in really quick, and I'm going to explain how it works. So here we've gone ahead and we've pasted a tool in, and that tool is log priority decision. So this, like I said, is a client tool. What a client tool is a tool that we define inside our servers and that our LLM has access to. Here we're logging a priority decision. We have a description of that tool, of what it does. This description is actually super important because this is what the LLM is going to use when it's deciding whether or not it should use the tool. We have a name and we have a description, and we have certain parameters. It's going to need these bits of information, which is here, feature request, priority, and reasoning, to be able to correctly call this tool. What's important to know here, especially for the LLM and when you're prompt engineering, is that, well, firstly, we need it to be an agent. Secondly, we need to give clear descriptions of when this tool should be called so that the LLM calls it in the right moment. Think about things that are going to be exposed to the LLM are the name of the tool, okay, its description, and the schema. Those are the 3 bits of information it's going to have. So it's really important that it knows how to use those bits of information. And so, for example, when we call this tool, and we're going to do that in just a second, we're going to simulate a tool call, and we're going to give it the exact information it needs to be able to correctly call that tool. So let's go here and let's start writing a prompt. Let's write the system message. I'm going to include the tags just for simplicity's sake. And we're going to say URAN. So we've gone ahead and we've given the system message. We've explained that you're an agent that logs priority decisions for feature requests. Log the feature requested, the priority of that feature, and your reasoning for doing so. But now we should also add context here that for doing this, now we can use another XML tag, which I like to do to keep things organized. Is tools. This is not an official XML tag. However, it's a good way to keep your prompt organized. So we can say, here we've gone ahead and we've given it a little bit of information about the tools it has access to. Even though it already does actually have that in its context, it's nice to tell it that really you can use this tool, okay? Otherwise, it would just be sitting there without an explanation. It would just have the tool there, and it wouldn't have strict instructions about that it can use that tool. I think that you really have to explain this to it like it's a baby. And then once we have all of that, it's actually ready to call. So what we need to do here is we actually need to include the information that will be sent to the tool call. So to do that, we're going to add a user message, and we're going to add a variable to that. So let's add a user message. Okay. And then here we'll put feature request. And then we're going to add that as a variable like we just learned. Now, once we have all that, we can go ahead and we can hit preview. Now let's write a fake feature request in here. Okay, so we're going to imagine here that a user asked that they would like a dark mode. Now we have this in the system instructions, we're going to see that it's an agent that logs priority decisions, and then we're going to see that information about the tool calls, okay? And also here we have the feature request, I would like a dark mode. Remember that this is the information that's going to be sent. However, the difference here is that we also have this tool in the back. And because now it's agentic, you'll actually see that it's going to call the tool. So we hit run. Cool. The first thing that was done is calling the tool. Now here it is waiting for us to answer it back. Imagine your server is going to receive feature request, priority, and reasoning. So say we log that in our server and we send a success message. So we say log successful. It would usually be a JSON, but we're going to send it just like this anyway, because this will work. And you can see how it will continue to run after we hit submit, because it's agentic now. So we submit, and here we have the final answer. It understood that it sent the information off and that it was successful. So anyway, it's giving us a little summary of what it did. Now we're working with client tools, and you can see how this can get infinitely complex if we have multiple client tools. You can actually add as many as you want here. There's a whole plethora of ways that we can make this more complicated. We're going to keep it really simple for the sake of it just explaining the concepts today. However, right now we have one tool. Let's say that also we have, in our workflow, we use Google Docs or we use Excel. So now we have, through Pipedream, for example, we have a lot of external tools that we have access to just kind of natively. So we can actually go over here and see how we support it in Latitude. Is we can go over here and look at this tool section, and here we have this client tool that's set up. Okay, that's the one we just wrote. But actually, if we add tools, so we can see there's a whole slew of tools that we can add to our flow. So for example, if I wanted to get all of this, and I wanted to go post it to Notion, well, I could go and I could connect my Notion. Now we've gone ahead and we've connected an integration. The thing that you guys need to keep in mind when you're working with external integrations is that they work just the same as your client tools. They have a description, and they also have a set of parameters that you need to make sure that you're including when you make these calls, okay? Usually you have to go to their documentation and find out what exactly the information is that you need to make those external tool calls, okay? But so now say we've added this in, and now we've given it the ability to access Notion. So what we can do now is actually expand its capabilities and say, so we've gone ahead and we've expanded a little bit the capabilities of this, and we said after logging this with the log priority decision tool, post a summary of what you did to Notion with the update page tool. And so we've gone here and we looked at the tools here and we found there's an update page tool. Then we said update that please. So we're not going to go too deep into external tool calls today, but now you've seen a little bit about how you can work with external tool calls and how they can be useful for carrying out different processes and creating more complex prompts. Those are the basic theoretical concepts that you need to carry out, and also having in mind how to actually set up a schema so that it works properly. The things that I really want to underline here is that it's incredibly important that you understand what exactly the information is that needs to be sent to this tool call for it to be done correctly. So in this situation, the AI is going to do whatever you tell it to do, but you need to make sure that you're explaining exactly what it needs to do in every context so that it doesn't make anything up and we get hallucinations and then we get AI that's unreliable. So the best reliable AI that uses tools is going to be the AI that explains very clearly exactly what the tools need to do, the information that needs to go there so that it works properly. So tools are a really fundamental part of how modern AI systems work. Really everything boils down to being a tool in the end. So I hope this has been instructive. There's a lot of complex things to get introduced with tools, so take it slowly and don't worry because you'll come to understand these things as time goes on.